So to outline what we will talk about, first we will talk about the history of cryptology. We'll go into some quite old ciphers, how cryptology started, and we'll talk about why we no longer encrypt in that way. Then there'll be a task for you to try to solve. Then the second part of this first day will be some mathematical tools that are some prerequisites to understand the teaching in cryptology too. So we're sort of starting a little bit on that at the end of this course today. And then I have some conclusions. Okay, so let's get started. So first of all, I want you to just pause this video and think about when do you use cryptography. And I have some music for you to think about this too. Right, so I assume now you've thought about it, and I guess the answer should have been always. We use cryptology every day of our life. We use it. Phone calls are encrypted. When you send an email, that's encrypted. When you watch cat videos on YouTube, that's encrypted. Of course, when you use NemID to talk with public web pages, it's encrypted. Of course, when you do online shopping, your credit card details have to be encrypted. Your car, if you have one of these electronic car keys that everybody has now, when you unlock your car, the message is encrypted. Data stored on your PC, I don't think this is always encrypted, but you can certainly encrypt it if you want to. There are some tools for this. So whenever you want to store or send secret information on an insecure medium, you use cryptology. So I use cryptology and cryptography interchangeably, and I do this because I've asked many people in the field, what's the right way to do this? And I think if you want to be pedantic about it, then cryptology is a broader term that encompasses both cryptography and cryptanalysis, where cryptography is the science of secrecy techniques in communication and data conservation. So it's the science of creating secret codes and ciphers. And cryptanalysis is then the study of the weaknesses of these secret codes and ciphers. So you can say that cryptography is about creating encryption schemes, and cryptanalysis is about breaking them. And cryptology is then about both. But as I said, I use cryptology and cryptography interchangeably, and I think many people do. So if you do as well, don't worry. Cryptology has a very long story. The first recorded cipher is from about 1900 before Christ, and it was found in Egypt. And of course, for centuries, generals and spies have needed to protect their communication. And I think one of the first, these very early forms of cryptography that we have unearthed, they have been substitution ciphers. And I think substitution ciphers is, in a way, it's like the first thing you think of if you want to encrypt something. It was at least the first thing I thought of when I was a kid and I wanted to make my own ciphers and communicate secretly with my friends. I used a substitution cipher. The idea in a substitution cipher is quite simple. You take each letter of the alphabet and you choose how to encrypt that letter. So for example, you can make this, make a table, and here you put like each of the letters in plain text, and underneath you put what will this letter encrypt to. So for example, if I wanted to use this cipher to encrypt don't panic, then the E would be an I, the O here would be an E, the N there would be a Z, and so on. So you just take each letter and replace it by another letter. For a substitution cipher, it need not be a letter that you replace it with. You can also replace it with another symbol. Right, so this is an idea in the substitution cipher. You might have heard about the Caesar cipher. The Caesar cipher is a specific substitution cipher where each letter is replaced by another letter of the alphabet, and it's just a shifted alphabet. So, for example, here we shift the alphabet 13 positions. So A is encrypted to N, B is encrypted to O. Each letter is just, to encrypt the letter, you just shift it by a fixed amount of positions. So now if I want to encrypt don't panic, I would encrypt the D here as a Q, the O as a B, the N as an A, and so on. Okay. So a CSAR cipher is just a CSAR cipher is an example of a substitution cipher. Right? Just to practice this a little bit, try to take this message. It's encrypted using the CSAR cipher shift 13. See if you can decrypt it. I'll play some music while you pause the video. Right. So I hope you have now tried this exercise. And if you managed to decrypt and you also answered in a decrypted and you also encrypted your answer, this should be the correct answer. Right. So now I want to talk about a concept called the secret key. So for these substitution ciphers, or well, in general in cryptology, the receiver can, with the right information, the receiver can recover the message. And this information is a substitution table, for example. It can also be the shift number for CSAR cipher. And this information is what we call the secret key. So the secret key should be shared between the authorized parties, and it should be kept secret from anyone else. And of course, management of this key is critical in cryptology. Right. So that was an introduction to the secret key. Right. Moving on. So how do we then break these forms of encryptions? How do we cryptanalyze it to use the fancy words? Okay. So the issue with these substitution ciphers is that they have patterns and predictability and repetitions. And these are things that you can use when you want to break it. There's some patterns of the text, there's some patterns in English, and these patterns shine through when you try to encrypt using a substitution cipher. So I think this course is most fun if you first pause the video and try to think about how would you go about trying to decrypt this message. If you know it's been encrypted with a substitution cipher, what would you do? And then just try to start a little bit and see. And then once I return, once you depause the video, we'll go through it together. Right. So I assume you've now had a go at trying to decrypt this message on your own, and I want to show you how I decrypt this message. And for that, we will move to Word. So I will make a new video.